check out this motion that was tabled the other day at the union's conference. Quote, that ETFO create a resource on best practices to support Palestinian students and distribute this response to all members. The resource's scope should include anti-Palestinian racism, affirming Palestinian identity, and teaching about Palestinian history, end quote. That's right. It is unsafe to be openly Jewish in certain neighborhoods in Ontario, and for that matter in Canada. And the response by the ETFO is to focus on so-called anti-Palestinian racism. Makes you wonder who were the terrorists and who were the victims on October 7th, 2023. You know, when almost 1,200 people were massacred in Israel and some 250 were kidnapped by Hamas. In the meantime, anti-Semitism, including violent anti-Semitism, has emerged as a very ugly stain on Canada. On a weekly basis, the Hamas-holes gather in Jewish neighborhoods to chant genocide, display swastikas, and even cosplay as the terrorist mastermind Sinwar. As well, Jews are being physically assaulted in broad daylight. Synagogues are being vandalized. One private Jewish girls' school in Toronto has been shot up 3 times so far. And the response from law enforcement? Well, they deliver the hooligans coffee and donuts while arresting peaceful counter-demonstrators and members of the independent media who might, further incite the violent mob. Nice. And the response from the media? Well, pretty much radio silence, the mainstream media, that is. And the response from our elected officials? Oh, you guessed it, zip, zilch, nada. Oh, sure, they'll say, hate has no home here. And then they'll roll out the red carpet to hatred by doing nothing to stop the haters. Indeed, used to be that the massive Walk with Israel event would attract a who's who of those in the political class. But this year, the Prime Minister, the Premier of Ontario, the Mayor of Toronto, they were all noticeably AWOL. Hey, then again, maybe in the case of Mark Carney, there was no appetite to attend, as people at this Solidarity March tend to keep their clothes on, thereby depriving Carney the opportunity of hugging men in thongs like he did at the Vancouver Pride Parade. But I digress. The point is, with all this repugnant anti-Semitism raging, Ontario's Elementary Teachers Union is obsessed with anti-Palestinian racism. Hate to be a nitpicker here, but when it comes to anti-Palestinian racism, I defer to Romulan Center Vreenak.
It's a fake.
That's right, it's fictional. It does not exist. It's a nothing burger with cheese. Oh, and don't take my word for it, folks. Just consider the Toronto District School Board, which, much like the Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario, is absolutely obsessed with anti-Palestinian racism while turning a blind eye and a deaf ear to anti-Semitism in its classrooms. This despite a huge outcry from Jewish students, parents, and their allies, hundreds of whom gathered at TDSB headquarters last June to stage a demonstration.
Extra clear. Israel Chai!
We've seen firsthand what's been happening at these schools, and it's not acceptable.
I'm an employee of this board, and I'm a little sick of the nonsense. I'll just leave it at that, the nonsense.
The TDSB needs to gain control of the situation and understand the widespread suffering that they have allowed to persist.
Students miss school because they're afraid of being targeted for being Jewish, and even teachers have missed school because they're afraid that their students will target them.
I do hope we can make a difference. I think we will, because Jewish students, parents, staff, everybody needs to feel safe and supported in the place of education, and it's time that we stepped up and made those changes.
And let's examine the facts of the matter, shall we? I point to a recent study, Anti-Semitism in Ontario's K-12 schools, by University of Toronto sociology professor Robert Brym. Brym was commissioned to study this issue by Deborah Lyons, Canada's special envoy on combating anti-Semitism, before she resigned last month. Here's the skinny. Brym surveyed 599 Jewish parents who had reported 781 anti-Semitic incidents in Ontario's education system from October 2023 until January of this year. Overall, Brym reported nearly 1 in 6 anti-Semitic incidents were initiated or approved by a teacher or involved a school-sanctioned activity. In 6 out of 10 reported cases of anti-Semitism, the school involved either didn't investigate, denied it was anti-Semitism, or punished the victims by recommending they take remote classes or switch schools rather than the perpetrators. Some of the stories Brym uncovered are truly disturbing, such as a 6-year-old girl being told by her teacher that she was only half human because one of her parents is Jewish. Another teacher told a different 6-year-old girl who was wearing a necklace with a pendant in the shape of a map of Israel that this was actually a map of Palestine and that her Hebrew school teachers are liars. Remember, these are the teachers acting in such a gross and egregious way, not the anti-Jew bullies in the classroom who routinely get a free pass when it comes to anti-Jew hatred. Keep in mind that Statistics Canada notes that while Jews make up 1% of Canada's population, 70% of all religiously motivated hate crimes today are aimed at Jews. And what's being done to address off-the-charts anti-Semitism in this province? Oh yeah, that's right. The educrats are pushing anti-Palestinian racism that doesn't exist. You know, isn't this akin to the city of New York post 9/11 commissioning a report on Al-Qaeda bigotry in the Big Apple? Incredible. Well, I can tell you that many in the Jewish community are saying enough is enough. On Monday, Meir Weinstein of Israel Now went down to the Sheraton Hotel in downtown Toronto that was hosting the Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario conference. He was there with others to take a stand against that ludicrous motion. And the result? Well, the educators first called security and then the police.
Mayor, I kind of felt like I was walking into the movie at the halfway point. I saw this big commotion. You have your allies here. They were displaying signs. Nothing, absolutely nothing hateful on those signs. But it looked like the people here at the Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario did not like your mere presence here. And here we are, kicked to the curb. Mayor, first of all, their annual general meeting is taking place here. For you and your friends here, what is the point of contention with the elementary school teachers?
The problem is that there is an element, a significant element, within the teachers' associations who are here. They want to present a motion that's vile, it's anti-Semitic, it's discriminatory against Jewish teachers and Jewish students. From the elementary schools. It's unbelievable, from little tiny kids.
And what is the nature of that motion, Mayor?
The motion is calling for the introduction of they call it anti-Palestinian racism, to be adopted across the board in all Ontario elementary schools. And in that definition of anti-Palestinian racism, it says any element of support for Israel, be it if you're wearing a Star of David, if you have a Israeli flag, anything for Israel that a Jewish teacher has or a non-Jewish teacher has with them or a student has with them, they have to be discriminated against, because under that definition of anti-Palestinian racism, they are the most racist people in all of Ontario.
This is incredible. You're telling me that a Jewish teacher, or perhaps even a Jewish student, displaying a symbol proclaiming their Jewishness, this would be verboten? You'd have to say, in your example you gave me, remove the Star of David?
That's what they want. That's exactly what they want. So what they're trying to introduce here is Hamas talking points. And unfortunately, in the majority of Islamic countries, there's widespread discrimination against Jews. There's hardly any presence of Jewish communities in those Islamic or Arab countries because of such vile anti-Semitism. They want to bring it here into our Ontario schools.
So what was the result, you ask? Well, I'm ashamed to say that the motion passed 480 to 193. Yep, anti-Semitism is nothing, but anti-Palestinian racism, well, that's everything. And as Meyer mentioned, how will anti-Palestinian racism measures be enacted? Perhaps ordering a Jewish student to remove a Star of David pendant, telling a student to remove a shirt that has Israel written on it? Well, we shall see. Oh, and here is the really, really inconvenient truth regarding anti-Palestinian racism. Like I said earlier, it simply does not exist. Don't take my word for it, folks. The Jewish Educators and Families Association recently filed an FOI request with the Toronto District School Board. JEFA was most curious about how many anti-Palestinian racism incidents occurred at TDSB schools. And here is the answer they finally received in writing from Canada's biggest school board. Quote, "There are no responsive records pertaining to reported incidents of anti-Palestinian racism within TDSB," end quote. Got that?
0.0.